Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a business growth strategist where I help business owners grow and scale to create freedom and choice. And today, I have an awesome guest. He's an entrepreneur, mindset environmental mastery coach, speaker, facilitator, author, and the CEO and owner at Nick Devlin Coaching. His mission is to empower you to live your life as an adventure with peace, passion, and intention. And he amplifies the impact of powerful humans with big dreams to uplift humanity and expand freedom in the world. Welcome, Nick Devlin, and thank you for being on my show.
Hey, thanks for having me here, Ethan. I'm excited.
Yeah, awesome, mate. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing show for everyone watching and listening today. So you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Yeah, thanks, man. So, nowadays I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a life coach. I help people live their big dreams. And really my big dream is to uplift humanity and wage peace on the world through transformational adventures. And I consider a transformational adventure everything from a conversation to, multiple days in the backcountry, hiking through the woods and exploring there. But I didn't start out that way, right? I started out pretty typical American kid growing up in a blue collar family, went to college. I went to college for engineering. I never really felt like I fit in, and I kind of was just going through the motions. Like, I'm supposed to go to college. So I went to college and skated through that barely and went to work. Again, not really excited about what I was doing. I didn't really want to grow up, didn't want to have an office job. So I found different ways to make a living that were sort of related to my degree, but more in the like artistic kind of, trades and things like that. Got into playing at punk rock bands, I was big in the punk rock scene. And that's where I started to feel like, oh, maybe I belong here, in this kind of a subculture. And, but after a while of just playing music and working and partying, I got tired of that. And I felt a calling to join the military. Now, I had always kind of felt that, right? My grandfather was in World War II, and I had a lot of admiration for the military. And I played Army as a kid, and probably much later than most kids played Army. I'd be out there running around the woods, in my imagination. And but for a lot of different reasons, I didn't join at the typical time. And then I was about 28, 29 years old when I realized, okay, there's got to be something else, something bigger. I can't just keep going through the motions here. And I realized that, hey, this has been on my heart for years. I either need to do it or just give up on this part of the dream. And so I joined the 75th Ranger Regiment, which is, a lot of people are familiar with that. It's a very elite, U.S. unit, and made it all the way through all the training. And as soon as I got to my unit, we were in a training cycle, then we deployed and went to Ranger School. And so, for about 4+ years, it was just go, go, go. I loved it until I didn't, until certain things became more important. So by the end of my initial enlistment, I was now married. I had a son, and I decided to be around for that. I really wanted to be around for that next adventure. And I was starting to feel the wear and tear from just beating myself up for years and 22 months of combat and all that kind of stuff. Had a lot of intense experiences in the military that shaped me and, helped me become the man that I am today. And it came with a lot of stuff that I then had to figure out as I was transitioning. So once I got out of the military, now I'm about 33 years old, there was like this immediate disconnect from tribe, from purpose, from adventure. I went from jumping out of airplanes and combat to back into engineering, back into an office job wearing khakis and a button up, and that was pretty stark. It was pretty jarring for me, along with the fact that now I had to start to process all the trauma, everything that had happened in the military, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And so there was a lot to unpack. My way of coping at that time was to just keep achieving, right? Keep chasing more and more things. So I ended up going to an Ivy League MBA program that was an executive program. So I could go full-time there. I could work full-time as an engineer. And oh, by the way, by now I had 3 children under the age of 4. And so very intense, right? In the time after the military, the first 4 or 5 years, I was just going, until I hit a wall. Right about at the end of the MBA program, I had just gotten this great job with a Fortune 500 company, moved my whole family from New Hampshire to New Jersey, right outside Manhattan, dove headfirst into the rat race, and suddenly everything started falling apart. And my marriage was a wreck. My life was nothing but work. So I had no meaningful friendships. I had no hobbies. I had, everything was really about work. And a friend of mine looked me in the eye one day and said, "Do you want to stay married?" And I went, "Oh, is that the question?" Right. And it really rocked me. It really, I bust out into tears, and I didn't answer him because I thought, whoa, this is major. So it took a couple days to sit with that question. And once I answered it yes, I knew that meant I had to turn my whole life around. And I quit my job, moved back to New Hampshire with the family, and started clinging to one idea that I could connect to, which was I need to live my life with more intention. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I knew that that was really important. And so I just started searching. I started going to transformational programs and seminars and really seeking, more wisdom around how to live an intentional life. And within a few months, a lot of things started to change, right? And I received this epiphany that, oh, maybe I'm meant to be a coach. So this is about 4 or 5 years ago. And since then, I've been on this path of rapid transformation, becoming a coach, becoming an entrepreneur, and really using everything that I learned the hard way to help men and women who are in that place of like, I'm successful, but I'm miserable, right? What went wrong? This can't be it. There must be a better way. And I'm here to tell you, yep, there is. And you can do it a lot faster and a lot, with less pain than I did. And so that's what I'm all about now. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Love that. What a powerful story of a lot of challenges and then coming up with that intention, which is definitely everything in what we do in business and life. So love it, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And
Thank you.
And obviously a key part of that is mindset, right? Because, you have to overcome a lot of things, and it's key to our success in the business and life and everything that we do. So do you want to maybe tell us a little bit more about, our mindset and how important it is?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple different camps, right? Some people say mindset's everything. I'm a believer that mindset is most of it, and then environmental design is a huge part of it as well, right? And taking action in those areas. But yeah, mindset, right? This is ancient wisdom, right? There's nothing new in this world, but mindset is everything because our thoughts become our words, become our habits, right? Become our lives. So the thoughts that we have are what we live, right? And beneath that is belief, right? So what we believe is how we're living our life. So you can literally look at where you're at now, and you can decipher, what do I truly believe? What do I believe I deserve, right? It's all there. And so if you want to live life a different way, you have to change your mind. You have to start making different choices, right? And having the right mindset is about being able to embrace what's coming and look at the challenges as gifts, right? Look at the obstacles as creating those points on your human treasure map that are there for you to grow, right? So that's a behind the curtains peek on how I help people shift their mindset to, embrace everything that's coming and understand that it's for you. And that can change everything. And
Yeah.
instead of why is this happening to me, it's like, how is this happening for me?
Yeah, man. Love that. Really powerful. Definitely completely agree with how that works, and how we move forward from there. What's the lessons, and how we, grow from that point onwards. And what I love as well about you is you incorporate adventure, right? In a coaching experience as well. It's not just coaching, there's that other element as well. So do you want to maybe tell us a little bit more about how you include that?
Yeah, I love it. It's perfect because, the big idea, the way I talk about mindset is like having a mindset of play and adventure. This is an opportunity, right? This is available for all of us to shift our mindset from this like industrial control, perfectionism, to one of play and possibility and purpose and adventure. And so I do use that a lot in my coaching. The underlying idea that I'm inviting everyone to is that life is an adventure, right? So anything can be an adventure. And it's an adventure when there's like a perfect balance of uncertainty and excitement, right? When everything, when it's a perfect Gantt chart, when everything's controlled, that's not an adventure. That's a project, right? When there's too much uncertainty, when there's loads of fear, that's not an adventure, right? That's just scary, right? So this perfect blend of uncertainty and excitement is how you know that you're in an adventure. And so a relationship can be an adventure, right? Investing can be an adventure. Discovering self-awareness can be an adventure. And so when I talk about adventure, I mean all of it. And I love to take people out into nature, right? For half a day, full day, multiple days, and literally go explore somewhere in nature and have a physical adventure while creating that container that's going to allow us to go deeper, right? Allow us to have a transformational experience so that you're forever changed, right? In 3 days, you can go into nature, completely reset your nervous system, connect to a new vision for your life, and walk away with a new energy, a new awareness, right? A new vision for yourself. And I've seen it happen, and it's incredibly powerful. So I love that. I love all versions of that. I love playing in that space, choreographing experiences, and then facilitating them. That's how I play.
Yeah, awesome, man. Definitely sounds like a lot of fun. I like that balance between uncertainty and excitement there as well. So very, very powerful to have that variety in our lives and keep growing and moving forward. And obviously, with being out in nature, is obviously quite good for us as well, in a lot of different ways, and trying new things at the same time, to not be too stuck in just the mundane. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about the benefits of being out, in nature and trying new things as well?
Yeah, well, there's so many benefits, just to name a few. There's blue light therapy, right? So when the light is low, a sunrise or sunset, a lot of my adventures start out in the dark, and we'll hike up a mountain trail and meet the sunrise at the summit. And so, that light is very healing to be absorbing that light. There's phytochemicals, and there's all sorts of like things that we're just now starting to understand about being around trees, right? Being in a natural space. And there is something about this 3 days that really starts to reset your nervous system. There's the metaphorical things that start to really become more obvious, especially when you create this intentional space. Everything becomes a sort of a teacher, right? Like the way a tree grows out of a rock, it's like, okay. A lot of people see things and absorb the things that they need to see, right? So for me, I see that and I think, whoa, resilience, right? Whoa, adaptability, the perfection in the imperfect, the system of nature that is just like supporting and sharing this in this symbiotic relationship. Like Albert Einstein said, look into nature and you'll understand everything better. So a lot of those experiences are happening, when we're out in nature, is we're exploring what's happening in our own lives, and then we're connecting back to something that's real, something that's bigger, something that fills us up. And at the end of the day, we're human. And a lot of what I'm doing is helping people connect to their human nature, their authentic self, their essential self. And in that way, like, we are nature. Right? So we're not separate. We're part of nature. So all of that is at play when we're on these adventures. And it's just really, really powerful, the healing and the awareness and the connection that happens in those experiences.
Yeah, awesome. Love that, mate. And one little thing I'll add that I do, I find, is if I get a bit busy in my day, right, with a lot of stuff going on, maybe I've had a bit less sleep. I like to go for a walk down to the park, and I take my shoes and socks off, and I do some grounding, right, where I'm just breathing a little bit, and it just doesn't have to be for a long period of time. And I may look a bit weird to people walking past, going, "Why has Athin got his shoes and socks off?" There, and might have my dog with me as well, but I'll just sit there and just do a few breaths and do that. And I just feel so awesome, right? Like, it can be something simple on a daily basis, but then you can go get the full-on version where you get immersed into it at the same time, right?
It's a great point. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 3-day backcountry excursion, right? It could be your local park, right? Find a patch of grass somewhere, hopefully one that's not, too much chemicals treating it. But take your shoes off, right? Put your feet in the dirt, in the grass, touch a tree, just sit down, slow down for a few minutes and just observe the natural world around you. It can be so powerful, right? If you don't have any plants in your house, go buy a plant. Like, there's having these symbols, these things here that represent, maybe that larger idea, can be really helpful, on a subconscious level. That's something that I dive into with my clients when we talk about environmental mastery. Is we really dive into what's happening with the subconscious and how it relates to your environments. But yeah, something like that, having a plant, going to your park, local park, and just taking a few minutes to be with that, really powerful.
Yeah.
And especially for, a lot of the people that I'm connecting with, that I'm coaching and I'm bringing on these adventures, these are high achievers, right? These are successful folks who are leaders, who are well respected, they've got a lot going on, and they're crushing it. And they sense that something's missing. Right. And maybe that's because they've focused on a part of their life more than another part, or, they're a lot of the people that I'm working with work a lot. Right. So they're the kind of typical workaholic. And they're looking for a different way. Right. They're looking for a different way. They know there's got to be something else. They're sensing that they're not connected to that, like, part of themselves. I'll give you an example. I was coaching this woman. She's a VP of a healthcare marketing company. And when we got together, she was angry. I mean, that's like the simplest way I can describe it. She was angry at the world. She was angry at her team. It was like she was setting herself on fire, in her own words, setting herself on fire to get things done. And this is a woman who used to be really playful, right? She would talk about, I used to spend time with my friends. I used to go snowboarding. I used to do all these fun things, and I'm not doing them. And so we were able to kind of pull apart, and really dive deep into the subconscious, into the mindset, into, what had she created for herself that was keeping her from being herself. And a few months later, this is the reward, right, of me being able to live my dream, is she goes, I'm feeling like myself again. And that was showing up because she's like, oh yeah, I went and I spent the weekend with some friends and we laughed and we, and then, I went snowboarding, and she started to pull these things back into her life, and she started to reconnect to herself. And, oh, by the way, her team started thriving, right? She started feeling like she wasn't as burnt out because she was now empowering her team, all because of these shifts within herself, right? She was able to see things and apply things in a different way. She had just started at this new company. She got offered an equity grant, which doesn't happen normally for people at her level, but she was, her efforts and her energy was being recognized by her leadership. And so they started to look to her as a future leader of the company, started to invest in her in other ways. And, it's just so rewarding to be able to help someone through that arc of transformation where it's like they're really stuck. They don't see a way out, but they're desperate. They feel like there's got to be something. And then I'm able to walk with them through that process to shed some of those things and bring new things in and shift their whole experience. And she's going to have that new experience for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely
I'm
awesome,
so
man.
grateful to be able to do this stuff,
Definitely.
Cool.
And this is, a lot of the time what I tell people is that, you've got to be open to these things, is getting the help, because a lot of the time we can't do it ourselves, right? Like if you become a coach and you understand these things, yes, there's an element of self stuff that you can do, but it's nowhere near what somebody else can guide you through, in that way. So that's the power, right, of having someone like that.
It's so true, and I think this is becoming more accepted, right? People are more aware of that. Like, oh yeah, life coaching is a really powerful tool, and it's becoming more prominent and prevalent. It's like if you wanted to become a doctor, you're going to invest time and money and energy in learning to become a doctor, right? Well, the same idea applies, right? I mean, you can't just go become a doctor on your own, right? There's things that you have to learn. There's things you have to practice. And when you want to become that next version of yourself, when you have a big dream, right, you're going to invest time, energy, money, whether you're hiring a coach or whether you're buying books or whatever, going to seminars, there's a similar process to becoming. And I think that's really important for people to understand that, like, there is some investment that's required to become.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Completely agree with all of that. And I always see the benefit whenever I do, invest in myself. It expands tenfold in whatever we do. Love it. And, I think a lot of people as well in business and life, probably get stuck in their head a little bit. They think, oh yeah, I've got to do all these things and stuff like that. But a lot of the time, I know it was me as well in the past, there was a bit of a disconnect with the heart and, really connecting to that element and having a good connection between them, and which assists with intuition and manifestation and a lot of other things. So do you want to maybe talk a little bit about our head and our heart and getting them intertwined as well?
Yeah, I love this question. I could talk about heart all day. I mean, it's really powerful. I've been through quite an exploration into the heart. I've explored heart math and different meditations. And this is something that I do actually on a daily basis. I do this every time when I'm connecting with a client, is we take some breaths, we get into our heart, into our imagination, right? So the process that I use, it's very simple. It's something that your listeners can do, is just taking a few breaths to get centered and grounded. What that also does is it starts to connect the heart to the mind. Right. And this is measurable. You can measure the heart rate variability, and you can see a coherence that starts to happen when you take some intentional breaths. The amplifier that I do then is lead you into an imagination exercise, seeing yourself living a peak experience, and that warms up the imagination. Right. And so these things all start to play together to get you into a state where you can create your future self, your future life, from that state. It's very important to transition into that state before you start doing, your imagining and your creating. Otherwise, you're creating from, basically yourself offline, right? So it's like whatever files are in there from your past life, that's all you have to work with. But once you kind of come online and you tap into the heart, now you can create something, completely new and beautiful and unique. So yeah, super, super important. They've discovered that the heart has neurons. Okay. So the heart has an intelligence. It's different than the brain intelligence, but there is a source of intelligence there that when we really drop into the heart and we can shift our state, we start to connect to different pieces of wisdom, different things that really help us on our journey. And I think it's something that is being explored more. And again, just like coaching is starting to be accepted, that, hey, maybe there's this other way to look at things and build our intuition. but it's still new, right? So it still feels a little bit like new territory for a lot of people. And it's really powerful. I was just in a call with a client who's in one of my group programs, and we did this exercise. We connected, to the heart, and she was able to go deeper and realize things about her dream that she was unable to connect to before. In fact, she said, I didn't even realize I had a dream, right? She just started in this program, and she's been struggling when we talk about this stuff. So we did this exercise, dropped into the heart. And by the end, she had a list of statements that were like, oh, this is what I want to create. Right. And I said, how does that feel? And she goes, it feels good in my heart. Right. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Love that, man. Very, very, very powerful. And, and I think just like on top of that with people, I think you always have to be very open. Like, when you get taught this sort of stuff, some people might be like, oh, I don't know about this, whatever. It's like, you know what? The way I look at it is just try it out, right? Like in there, just be open. I think that's the biggest thing, because some people could be quite closed and go, oh, no, I don't want to do that. That's, that's weird or something. It's like, you know what? If it's working for other people and, just try it, and most of the time with that intention, like we talked about at the start, where it's a lot about intention, have the good intention for that exercise, you'll get, some sort of benefit from it. And it could be massive benefits, like, that come from it as well.
It could be. Yeah. Allow for that possibility. I'm curious, have you ever, what's your experience with dropping into the heart? You have an experience where that was really profound for you? Or?
Yeah. Recently with a group that I was with, we did some sort of heart breathing, their exercise where we, it was a lot of focused intention. It was sort of like circular type sort of breathing, with the heart, and it was expanding out. And it was actually a really powerful thing. So I just done it. And then I was traveling interstate, right? I grew up in Adelaide. It's a smaller city in Australia. And I was going back to, do some stuff with family just for a couple of days or something, and come back to Sydney. And on the way, I'm trying to think which way it was. Anyway, one of the directions on the plane, behind me, there was a child, like a really young kid, and it started crying, right? And it was going for a while. And, you could start to feel some agitation in the thing. And then all of a sudden, like my intuition was just like, I need to do some heart breathing, that I just learned. Right. Yeah. And then I started doing it, and my intention was on the child. And within 10 seconds, it stopped crying. Right. And it was crying for minutes, like for a while, here beforehand. And I was like, awesome. And then funny later, about half an hour or so later, this is very close to me. There was one way down I was towards the back of the plane. There was another child started crying for a while, towards the front of the plane, at least 15 rows probably ahead of me. And I heard it after a while, and they were trying to, you could see the parents trying to sort of calm it down. It wasn't really working. And I did the same thing. I did the heart breathing, did the intention, within 10 seconds, stopped crying. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I love that. Yeah. It's beautiful, man. And there's so much more to this life, right? This is why I get so excited about this idea that life is an adventure, right? It's like we can never stop exploring, right? Just keep exploring, keep seeking, because there's so much more to it than we think, that we've been shown, that we've been taught, right? This idea of like, we can connect heart energy, right? We can send that energy to someone else with this intention of love, of peace, of calm, right? 15 rows on an airplane, states away, around the world, right? There's research. I mean, and this is cool, because this is where like the woo-woo, spiritual starts to intersect with science in the field of quantum, right? I mean, there's scientists who are studying this stuff, and it's backing up the spirituals, wisdom that's been around since ancient times, but are starting to correlate this stuff and see that, like, oh yeah, we literally are all connected, through measurable things out in the world and in the universe. And so it starts to become a lot less woo-woo when you realize, oh, I can talk about it this way and it's the same thing, right? But we are so powerful, and the intention that we hold, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat the people around us, the way we interact with the world, it all matters. It really matters. And I get so fired up about, if you are in a position in your life where you're feeling stuck, where you're feeling frustrated, where you're observing yourself going, this isn't how I want to be. This isn't where I want to be, what I want to be doing, good. And do something about it, because it really, really matters. Really matters.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Love that as well. It is so awesome with how the quantum world is expanding how we look at things and helping us to grow as humans as well. Let's I want to talk a little bit about adventures a little bit more, because I know you do some awesome stuff. And you mentioned something a bit to me before, but do you want to maybe just share, I guess, maybe some of the types of activities, maybe the ones that could have a big impact, or maybe some stuff you've done in the past or coming up that could be really powerful for people to get a bit of an idea of what type of adventures, can really take us out of our environment, put us into a different environment to get that big transformation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And just one final thing I wanted to highlight is that business is no different than any of the stuff we're talking about, right? Business is about relationship. It's about intention. Money itself is just an energy, right? So we can really use these concepts, tapping into the heart and envisioning what we want in business as well as the rest of our lives. It's not separate, right? I look at everything as an integrated whole.
Definitely.
And that again comes back to the adventures, right? Because I look at nature. Everything is a living system. So all the things that we're doing are connected. So in terms of adventure, some of the things I've done that have been the most powerful, I've taken people rock climbing, and we do like a half a day visualization, really get deep into what you want to create, which in itself is an amazing experience, very energizing usually. And then we'll get on the wall and we'll climb and use what comes up, right? Whatever the wall, I always say, like, the wall gives you what you need to see. It's a great teacher. And so everybody kind of gets what they need to see, right? Some people are just charging up the wall, right? And then at the top, they're exhausted and they're cramping up. And it's like, okay, where else does that show up in your life? That kind of behavior, right? One guy I remember was really like tough guy, and he gets to the top and he wouldn't let go. And I was like, hey man, you got to let go. And he just, like, this look came over him and he was like, oh, I have to let go. It was like that metaphor just like hit him, but it was really happening too, And so I love how that experience in the physical body, in the physical world, can very acutely inform, what you need to see and how you might need to adjust in your life in different areas. I mean, he came down off the wall and he just laid there on the ground weeping. It was like so powerful. Another thing that has been really cool is, I alluded to earlier, is taking people out on a hike in the mountains, starting in the dark. And we'll start with a heart meditation. We'll start by setting an intention for the experience. And then we walk, and the path sort of gives you what you need to see, right? And that's powerful as a one-to-one thing or as a group experience. It's just being in that natural space, in the beauty of nature, and again, seeing those things that you need to see. That's been transformative for a lot of people that have gone on that experience. And I'm continuing to create new things. I've been talking to a colleague about creating something around skydiving. There's another group of guys who I'm partnering with. We're going to start doing things around the country and eventually internationally. I want it to eventually be a bit of a choose your own adventure, right? Like, what would you love to challenge yourself with? What would you love to experience? Here's sort of the list here's the menu of things that we could do, and start to build some bespoke adventures where we do really cool, fun things, but we also, build in this transformational container. So, you can bring whatever you need to bring, whether it's a business challenge or, a personal challenge. That when you come to this experience, you're going to walk away a changed person with the clarity and the energy to do what you need to do next. So, the big vision for me, since the first day I started, I saw this vision of helicopters. Okay, so we're like on a knee, lined up, waiting for the helicopter to come in, picks us up, flies nap of the earth, right, the contour of the earth, to drop us off, a few clicks away, and then we're there, right, in nature with our packs, with ourselves, and we'll have checkpoints along the way as we navigate back to base camp. And at those checkpoints, we'll do some deep inner work, right? And then by the time you get back to base camp and you meet the other teams, there's a big celebration, bonfire, and you're changed, right? After that couple days of trekking through the woods back to base camp. So those are all the things that I'm playing with right now, and I'm open to co-creating as well. If people have different ideas and they want to, hey, I want to go here and do this, let's play together and create that experience. I've got a lot of experience doing these, and I've got a team that's got years and years of experience to bring to bear. So I'm just going to keep playing in this space.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I love it. And yeah, a lot of stuff happens when we get out of our normal environment and be
That's
open and do some cool things at the same time. So I'm sure they're very awesome, and you're going to continue doing that too, mate. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's been a very powerful episode. We've gone quite deep as well, right, in a lot of different topics, which has been awesome today. And I guess as we're wrapping up, what one key piece of advice would you give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
Yeah, so the piece of advice that I want to leave everyone with today is, wherever you're at, I know you can play bigger. You can play bigger, right? So give yourself the chance to dream bigger. Take some time, and again, shift your state as much as you can into your heart and dream. Imagine, what would you love, right? Not just what you want, but what would you love to experience in your business, in your life? Take the time to do that. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs and for business people and high achievers, is to just go, right? Pause, drop in, and imagine what you would love to see. And even if you do that for a few minutes, that can start to shift things. So that's my invitation to the listeners today.
Awesome, man. What a way to end it. I love it. Very powerful. And we connected through our networks where I learned about your awesome journey from, being an engineer and then, to the consultant coaching and everything that you're doing with this mindset and environmental mastery, which is awesome, where you're helping people live, a more adventurous life. You're an awesome guy. I'm sure everyone will agree. And I'm sure we continue to help people step into their greatness and live their dream life adventure. I'm very grateful that we connected, and I look forward to working with you. So Nick, how can people find you and get in contact with you?
I've got a freebie for everybody who's listening. And if you just go to nickdevlincoaching.com/dream, it's a little reflection exercise that you can use to kind of complement that visioning exercise. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Nick Devlin. It's probably the best place to go. And I'm all over the socials, but those are probably the two best ways to just dive a little deeper and learn more.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Definitely connect with Nick if you're wanting more adventure in what you're doing. And thank you to everyone for watching and listening to this show, where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. And you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. So if you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. And I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way we know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.